Hello everybody, my name is TrainGabby86 and today I'll be reviewing and unboxing the Märklin Flying Scotsman. So first some background on this. As you know, Märklin is the German manufacturer who mostly makes German locomotives. Well, this is an anniversary edition. So for the 100th birthday of the Flying Scotsman they made two. The one I have here is in the wartime black and there's also in BR green. Currently here I have the wartime black version. So, this is Märklin number 39969, the Flying Scotsman with MFX and DCC sound. So, let's unbox it. Here you go. This is some beautiful packaging. It's all red with 4472 Flying Scotsman number plastered all over it, which is very lovely, something unique. Anyway, here we have it. You can't really see it yet, but it says Flying Scotsman here. So, let's first take a quick peek at the instructions, and then we'll go on to the loco. So, this is for controls. If you go in cab mode in the CS3, I could show that off later. And here we have the instructions. Let's see. Here we go. Here a table of contents. Here it shows the radius it can handle. Here you can see the functions. You can pause if you want to read that. There's many different languages, of course. Then here it tells you how to add all the accessories. Here's for the front and here's for the back. Some already added on the loco. This is not the first time I'm opening the loco. Here it tells you how much milliliters of smoke fluid you need to add into it. You need to be careful. You need to make sure there's also no air bubbles or else it will not work. But I'll demonstrate that later too. Here it tells you the tender connector. So you can do close coupling tender and loose coupling tender. It currently is more loosely coupled, but if you have very wide radius curves, you can add all the accessories and do close coupling, which will look very realistic, but only for very wide curves, or it will derail and you might have some problems. Here it tells you how to open up the loco. 4 bolts. There's a wire connected to the motor. And then here we have how to remove the middle rail, how to add couplings, and here how to add a rubber tire and lubricating points. Then here we have an exploded diagram. So you can see the engine, you can see the motor. It has one flywheel by the looks of it, some rubber tires. The smoke box door is removable by the looks of it. And here you can see the smoke generator, which is a realistic one. So it looks very cool, I'll show it off later. And then here's the exploded diagram for the tender. Here's the speaker, and for the rest it's just wheels, and again the middle rail, nothing all too special to see. Alright, and of course there's a warranty card. So that's all. Now on to the loco. Alright, now for the main attraction, of course, the Flying Scotsman himself. Ooh, this is a very tight fit. Alright, let's get her out. Here we have the accessories. There aren't many in there in the back, some already fitted. So that's why there aren't that many in the back right now, but I can tell you it comes with a lot of accessories. Alright. Here we go. Oh, beautiful finish on the locomotive. Here you go. Lots of details. We'll take a closer look at the details, but from first impressions, very beautiful. Very beautiful. Here you can see the brass lining. You can see the numbers, Flying Scotsman nameplate, of course. And the tender. Here's how it looks from the back. Also beautiful. Here you can see the hallway. So the Flying Scotsman actually has a function where people can go through the tender, through the gangway of the tender, and go to the coaches. Lots of detailing here. Here we can have the backlight, as you can see. And here's how it looks from the front. Again, here we have the National Railway Museum York on the number plate. Here we have Flying Scotsman number, and the front also beautiful. Alright, I'll take it off and put it on the track for you so you can have a closer look. Alright, here we have it then. So, let's take a look at the details. Alright, so here you can see the little bump in the boiler, which is an A3 exclusive. So this was a superheated boiler that the Linear A3 got. Then we here have the iconic double chimney of the Flying Scotsman. And German style smoke deflectors, which I believe this is the only British locomotive that has these style of smoke deflectors. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not completely sure, but I think it might just be. Then here we have some brass piping. It's not made out of brass, it's actually plastic, but it looks very beautiful for plastic. Then over here we have the running board, looks nice, it's not bent, it's nice and straight. Then here we have the cylinders, and here are the front bogies. These buffers are not sprung, but this is not done in HO scale. So for any of you double O gauge fans, in HO scale buffers are never really sprung in HO scale. Here we have some lamp irons. I'll give you a close look at those when we look at the front. And then moving a bit more to the side, here we have the middle with some lining here. It's the same color, so it's not really lining, but you can still see it in the boiler. Then here we have the lovely Flying Scotsman nameplate. 6 big wheels, 3 on both sides, and these beautiful over here. These in motion will look absolutely amazing. Then here we have the firebox, and here we have the whistle. The dome, this is also an A3 exclusive upgrade to the dome. So the A1 didn't have this, but the A3 does have this. Firebox again, here we have something very small. It's an electric warning, I believe. I'll try and zoom in post, but it's very, very small. Hand railing all along the boiler, which looks lovely. And here we have number 103, which is the number Flying Scotsman wore during the war. Here we have a little window, and then we have here the interior. I'll show that off from a different angle later. Then here we have a rubber cover, actually made of rubber to protect the driver and fireman from rain. Actually made out of rubber, which is very cool actually, very impressive. Here you have the little doors, these don't move of course, and then here we have the footplate. Then if you move a bit more to the right, here we have the tender. Not much detail to see here, just a regular A3 tender. Here we have the 4 wheels. Coal load looks nice, made out of plastic, and then number NE as all war locomotives had. And then at the back, again, no sprung buffers as I mentioned before, and here we have a lamp iron. So here we have the Flying Scotsman from the other side. Normally I wouldn't do this because both sides are the same, but for the Flying Scotsman it has 3 different running numbers, and one of them is on this side. So on the other side it was number 103, and on this side it's number 502. These are both numbers that the Flying Scotsman wore during the war, and to commemorate that, they are both different on each side of the cap. So as you can see here, it's number 502. Now turn it around. It's number 103. And in the front, as you've seen before, it's number 60103. Then here you have the back of the Flying Scotsman, the tender. Here you have the hallway again, then this will connect to the coaches. Here we have the back lamp, 2 buffers, here the coupling, which looks kind of big, but when it's attached to coaches you won't really notice it. This will light up eventually with the functions, and here you can see the door. Nothing much going on. Here you again have some foot plates, and here on the sides too. And then here we have it, the front of the locomotive. So, National Rail Museum, York, here on the number. This was only done for when the Flying Scotsman got back into service in 2013, I believe, when they finally repaired it. And this is the only time they had this number plate and this color scheme. After its trials, it got painted in BR Brunswick green. Here you have the Flying Scotsman number, 2 lamp irons. Oh well, the lamps are on the lamp irons, and then here you have the middle lamp. Here you have the brake pipes, couplings, and 2 more buffers and some more steps on the side. And you can also here see more brass, which looks very nice. And here we have it from the top. So again, here you can see the smoke deflectors, then the iconic double chimney. Here are lots of bolts, lots of them, so they look pretty nice here on the top. Here we have the handrails again, then the boiler lining, then here we have the dome, and this is the whistle. There's also an all metal dome and chassis. Only the cab for the driver is plastic, for the rest it's all brass, and this is of course rubber, which fair enough. And the cold load is also plastic. Then here we have the tender with realistic cold load, and here you can see the water refill. So these are all lots of details on this loco, look all very nice. So let's put it on the track, see how it runs, and then listen to its functions, and then I'll give you my opinions on it. Alright, I've put the loco on the track. Let's see if it works. Yes it does. Thank God. Alright. So, let's see. Can it crawl? It can. Lovely. It's very smooth. The sidewalls move beautifully. So this is the slowest it can go. Pretty slow. Pretty smooth too. Let's see how does acceleration go. Also very nice. Now let's see, I'll drive it by you at 50%. Pretty sensible. There you go. 60 kilometers per hour. And then let's do max speed. So that would be 100 miles per hour. So yeah, it runs like a dream. It can start up very slowly and slowly move off of the station, and it can also go pretty quickly. So I think the performance is wonderful. Could it crawl slower? Yes, but this is an express locomotive, so I don't feel there's a need for it to run even slower. So with that said, let's move on to the functions, and then I'll drive around the layout and give my opinions on it.
with the Flying Scotsman service to Edinburgh Waverley via York. The Flying Scotsman service is about to depart from platform 1. Please stand clear of the platform edge. All aboard!
Nach der Übernahme des Flying Scotsman durch das National Railway Museum in York wurde die Lokomotive während der Wiederaufarbeitung im Jahr 2011 mattschwarz lackiert. Der schwarze Anstrich wurde gewählt, um den Flying Scotsman in dem Farbkleid zu zeigen, das er während des Zweiten Weltkrieges trug. Ein besonderes Merkmal der Lokomotive sind die 3 unterschiedlichen angeschriebenen Betriebsnummern. Seitlich am Führerhaus befinden sich die beiden Nummern 103 und 502, unter denen die Lok während des Krieges fuhr. An der Rauchkammer besitzt die Lokomotive bereits die Nummer 60103, mit der sie als betriebsfähige Museumslokomotive weltberühmt wurde. Die Lokomotive war in dieser Lackierung bis Februar 2016 zu bewundern und bekam dann ihr dunkelgrünes Farbkleid.
After the acquisition of Flying Scotsman by the National Railway Museum in 2004, the locomotive was painted in matte black during refurbishment in 2011. The colour black was chosen to reflect the colour Flying Scotsman ran in during wartime. A special feature of the locomotive is the 3 different running numbers. On each side were the 2 numbers it ran under World War II, as a homage to the black livery of that time. On the front, number 60103, as numbered after refurbishment. The locomotive could be seen in this livery until February 2016, when it was repainted in British Railways dark green.
Alright, that was everything. I'm gonna let the Flying Scotsman drive around the layout, and afterwards I'll give my opinion on the locomotive.
Flying Scotsman service is about to depart from platform 1. Please stand clear of the platform edge. All aboard!
Alright, onto the ratings then. So, I have 4 categories: detail, performance, functions, and value. These will all be given a score out of 10, and they'll all be added up, and that will be its final rating. And then at the end you can see what it compares to the other locomotives that I've reviewed. Right, detail. I've given detail a 9.5 out of 10. There are a few reasons for this. So, the locomotive is absolutely beautiful. It has details, it's very accurate, it even has those small electrical warnings as I talked about and other things. All the 3 unique numbers is very cool. But one thing that does annoy me is that most of the detail has to be attached, and if you attach it, it limits the range of the locomotive. So that's the only negative thing I can say about the details. That's why I have knocked down 0.5, but for the rest, it's beautiful. Performance, I've given a 9 out of 10. Why not a 10 out of 10? Well, in theory, it could crawl just a bit slower, I know it's an express locomotive and it doesn't necessarily have to, but if you want a 10 out of 10 rating, it needs to be able to crawl at like 0.0001 miles per hour. Because, well, that is part of performance. But for the rest, runs beautifully, doesn't have any hiccups unless your track is dirty, of course. But for the rest, it just works and looks very nice. I've given functions a 9.5 out of 10. Why? Well, all the functions it has are very cool, almost perfect. It has stage announcements, operating sounds, all the little niche things like filling coal and the pump and all of that, letting steam off, the steam engine sounds. It doesn't have an independent whistle blow, although that comes with the station announcements. And of course, it doesn't have the maximum amount of functions possible in a locomotive, which is 32. That's why it's a 9.5 and not a 10. I've given value an 8.5 out of 10. It costs 600 euros, which is definitely not nothing, but let me put it in comparison for you. It costs about 2 normal electric engines with plastic holes. Remember, this is an almost fully brass metal construction, only the cab is plastic. And in comparison to steam locomotive, the Märklin BR01, which is a locomotive they bring back almost every year, is sold for around 550 and is the same size and the same amount of brass. And Scotsman has more functions and is, of course, a limited edition. So in the American price scaling, it makes sense. But it's an 8.5 because 600 euros is still 600 euros. This all averages out to 9.1, meaning it shares first place with the NS 1700, which is pretty good. Pretty damn good. It loses a lot of points on value, which is expected for the price. But yeah, for the rest, it's absolutely amazing. Anyway, that's all, folks. Goodbye, and I'll see you in the next video.